Minjun Kong returned to his Seoul penthouse at 2:13 a.m., 3 days earlier than his schedule indicated. The November wind off the Han River cut through the city, but Minjun barely noticed. Cold was a state of mind, and his mind had been trained long ago to feel nothing unnecessary. His driver opened his mouth to speak, but Minjun's subtle head shake stopped him. Words were wasted energy. He stepped into the private elevator, his reflection sharp in the polished steel walls. No smudges. No imperfections. No surprises. The elevator opened directly into his penthouse, a space of severe elegance, all clean lines and controlled luxury. Oh, his sanctuary. His untouchable domain. Except something was wrong. Women's shoes sat by the entrance. Small, worn canvas sneakers with fraying laces. Not designer. Not Jiwoo's. His sister never wore anything cheap. In the living room, a fabric tote bag slouched against his leather sofa, contents spilling out. A battered novel with Korean and English text, a reusable water bottle, a keychain shaped like a paintbrush. The hallway lights were on. Minjun never left lights on. His hand moved instinctively to his concealed holster, fingers brushing the cold metal before he withdrew them. Violence was a last resort, not a first response. That's what separated him from his father's generation. Silent steps. Controlled breathing. Every sense heightened. Water was running in the master bathroom. He pushed the door open. And stopped. A woman stood before his mirror, wrapped in nothing but one of his white towels. Steam curled around her like silk. Her wet hair dripped onto trembling shoulders. When she saw him, his face, his stance, the dangerous stillness of him, she gasped, backing against the marble counter. He didn't move. Who are you? Minjun's voice was quiet, precise, lethal in its calmness. He spoke in English, noting her features. I'm Maya, she stammered. Maya Park. I'm a friend of Jiwoo's. She said I could stay here. I didn't know you'd be back early. Jiwoo. Of course. Minjun's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Show me proof. With shaking hands, Maya retrieved her phone from the counter. A text thread appeared, Jiwoo's name at the top, messages in Korean and English. Appa's place is empty this week. Use it. Code is 0924. Stay as long as you need. You'll be safe there. His expression remained carefully neutral, but internally Minjun was recalculating every security measure he'd implemented. His younger sister was going to be the death of him. Get dressed, he said, his tone leaving no room for argument. We'll talk in the living room. Not like this. She nodded, clutching the towel like armor as she hurried past him. He caught the scent of his own shower gel, noticed the way she flinched when he shifted his weight. He also noticed the fading bruises on her collarbone, and the barely concealed fear in her eyes that went deeper than surprise. Maya sat on the edge of the sofa, drowning in Jiwoo's spare clothes, black sweatpants and an oversized hoodie with Korean characters across the front. She looked smaller than she had moments ago. Fragile. But there was something in the set of her shoulders that spoke of stubbornness. Survival. Explain, Minjun said, settling into the chair across from her. He didn't sit back. Didn't relax. She swallowed hard. My ex-boyfriend Ethan Chin, he won't let me go. He tracked my phone, controlled my bank accounts, isolated me from everyone. 4 nights ago he locked me in his apartment. I broke out through the bathroom window while he was at work. Minjun's hands resting on his knees didn't move. But something darkened in his eyes. What does he do? He works in finance. Import-export consulting, he said. But. Her voice wavered. But I saw things. Documents he shouldn't have had. Money that didn't make sense. People who scared me. Did he hurt you? The question was simple. The way he asked it was not. Maya's hand moved unconsciously to her collarbone. Not in ways that leave permanent marks. He was strategic. He knew how to hurt without evidence. Minjun stood abruptly and walked to his office without a word. He pulled up the building's security footage. Maya arriving alone, jumping at every sound. Sleeping on his couch instead of the guest bed, as if she didn't feel worthy of comfort. Eating barely enough to survive. He closed the screen and returned. You're staying, he said. Maya blinked. What? No. I can't. I won't be a burden. I'll leave in the morning. You won't survive an hour if he's looking for you properly. His tone was matter-of-fact. Final. You're in my home now. That makes you my responsibility. It's a matter of honor. Her breath caught. Something shifted in her eyes, not trust yet but the possibility of it. The next morning Minjun was in the kitchen when Maya emerged. She stopped in the doorway surprised. You cook. I ensure people are taken care of, he said, plating japchae and setting out banchan. That includes feeding them. She almost smiled. As she ate, slowly as if still not used to having enough, he outlined his expectations. You don't leave the apartment. You don't answer the door. You stay away from windows. If anyone tries to contact you, anyone, you tell me immediately. Her chopsticks paused. Is this really necessary? Your ex-boyfriend locked you in his apartment like a possession. Yes, it's necessary. Her eyes glistened with something, not fear this time but exhaustion. The bone-deep kind that came from surviving too long. What about my friend Hannah? She whispered. She's the only one who knows I left. What if he goes after her? I already have someone watching her, Minjun said, pulling out his phone to show her a recent photo of a young woman entering a university building, clearly unaware she was being protected. She's safe. You already arranged that? He set down his own chopsticks. I don't waste time on half measures. For a moment Maya looked like she might cry. Then something steadied in her. A small rise of inner strength he recognized, the kind that only came from surviving the unsurvivable. Thank you, she said softly. His chest tightened in a way he didn't want to recognize. Later that morning Minjun's phone buzzed. His attorney, Mrs. Choi. Your houseguest's ex-boyfriend just filed a police report, she said in rapid Korean, claiming she stole money and is mentally unstable. He's making it official. Minjun felt heat rise in his throat, a rare, controlled fury that he kept locked behind careful walls. And, Mrs. Choi continued, he's been asking questions about her friend Hannah. Says she might know where Maya is. The sound of shattering ceramic made him turn. Maya had dropped her teacup. It lay in pieces across the floor. He's going after her, she whispered, her face draining of color. Minjun crossed to her in 3 strides, his hands firm but gentle on her shoulders. He won't reach her. He won't reach you. How can you promise that? Because anyone who wants to hurt you will have to go through me first. And I don't lose. Something inside her broke, not with pain, but with relief so profound it manifested as tears. For the first time in longer than she could remember, she wasn't alone. That night, Minjun worked late in his office researching Ethan Chin. Connections to money laundering operations. A pattern of psychological manipulation with previous partners. Violence hidden under a polished, successful exterior. A threat far more dangerous than a simple jealous ex. A scream shattered the silence. Raw. Terrified. Desperate. Minjun moved faster than thought, throwing open the guest room door. Maya thrashed in the sheets, crying out, No, please Ethan, I'll be good, I promise. He caught her wrists, not to restrain but to anchor. Maya. Open your eyes. You're safe. You're in my home. He can't touch you here. I won't allow it. Her eyes flew open, wild and desperate, unfocused. Then she saw him. Really saw him. She collapsed forward, sobbing against his chest with a force that should have felt foreign but didn't. Minjun held her. This woman who'd stumbled into his life by accident was holding on to him with more trust than he'd earned from anyone in years. When her breathing steadied, he asked quietly in Korean, then English. Do you want me to stay? A tiny nod against his shoulder. So he stayed. She fell asleep curled against him, her face pressed to his chest, his arm around her like a shield he'd never intended to be. And Minjun Kang, who had inherited an empire built on secrets, who had learned to trust no one, who had armor where most people had hearts, realized something dangerous. He didn't want to let her go. Days passed in a strange, suspended peace. The world shrank to Maya's soft footsteps in the morning. Her laughter returning in small increments. Her sketches appearing on his dining table, delicate ink drawings mixing Korean and Western styles. The quiet comfort of sharing space with someone who didn't fear him. Minjun bought her art supplies. She cried when she saw them. He pretended not to notice, simply prepared tea while she composed herself. But when she touched his hand in thanks, something inside him shifted. Too much. Too fast. Too real. His sister Jiwoo arrived with more of Maya's belongings, having retrieved them from a storage unit. She took one look at Minjun and smirked. You like her, Jiwoo whispered in Korean, then switched to English. Don't even try to lie. This isn't about liking, he said quietly, also in Korean. It's about protection. Then why are you looking at her like that? Minjun didn't answer. Because the truth was the one thing he couldn't say aloud. Maya Park had walked into his home by accident. But keeping her there had become a choice. And Minjun Kong never walked away from what he chose to protect. Especially when danger was circling closer. The penthouse became their shared sanctuary, a bubble of safety suspended above the chaos of Seoul below. Maya began to relax, the permanent tension in her shoulders easing incrementally with each passing day. She still checked the locks compulsively, still startled at sudden sounds, but the raw terror that had haunted her eyes was fading. Minjun watched her heal with a mixture of pride and protectiveness he'd never allowed himself to feel. One evening he found her standing at the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring out at the Seoul skyline. The city lights reflected in her eyes, and Seoul Tower glowing in the distance. You said I should stay away from windows, she said without turning around. I did. But you're not stopping me now. He moved to stand beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. You're 45 floors up. No one can see you from here. And I'm watching. She turned to face him, and for the first time since they'd met, there was no fear in her expression. Only curiosity. Do you ever stop watching? Stop protecting? No. That sounds exhausting. It's all I know how to be. Maya studied his face with her artist's eyes, taking in details he suspected most people missed. The slight tension around his eyes, the way he held himself like a weapon even at rest. Jiwoo told me you raised her after your parents died. That you were only 19. Minjun's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Jiwoo talks too much. She loves you. She's grateful. Maya's voice softened. She said you gave up everything to keep her safe. That you became what you are, so she wouldn't have to. This isn't a conversation we're having. Why not? You know everything about me. About Ethan, about Hannah, about every mistake I've made. But I barely know anything about you. There's nothing worth knowing. I don't believe that. Minjun turned to leave, but her hand caught his wrist. The touch was gentle, tentative, but it stopped him cold. Thank you, she whispered. For seeing me that first night and choosing to help instead of hurt. Not everyone would have made that choice. Something cracked in his chest. Some wall he'd built at 19, when he'd had to become something harder than a boy, something stronger than fear. Get some rest, he said, his voice rougher than intended. Tomorrow I'm having additional security measures installed. Biometric locks. Panic buttons. Panic buttons for what? For if I'm not here when you need me. He left before she could respond, before he could do something foolish like stay. Hannah arrived at the penthouse on a Tuesday afternoon, escorted by two of Minjun's most trusted security personnel. She was 23, petite and fierce, with purple streaks in her black hair and an eyebrow piercing that somehow made her look even more formidable. The moment Maya opened the door, Hannah burst into tears. Oh my God, you're alive. You're actually alive. She grabbed Maya in a crushing embrace, switching between English and Korean. When you disappeared and Ethan was asking all those questions, I thought. I'm okay, Maya soothed, stroking her friend's hair. I'm safe. I promise. Hannah pulled back, her eyes red but blazing with protective fury. That bastard came to my apartment. He tried to convince my roommate he was worried about you, that you'd had some kind of breakdown. He tried to manipulate me into telling him where you were. Minjun appeared in the doorway, silent as shadow. Hannah's eyes widened when she saw him. She glanced between Minjun and Maya, clearly trying to piece together the situation. What did you tell him? I told him you weren't his property and to lose my number. Then I called the building security. Hannah's expression hardened. He's dangerous, Maya. More dangerous than you knew. I know, Minjun said quietly. Which is why she's here. Which is why you're being protected. Hannah turned to fully face him. Who are you? A friend of Jiwoo's, Maya said quickly. He's been helping me. Hannah's skeptical expression suggested she wasn't buying the simple explanation, but she didn't push. Instead, she turned back to her friend. Are you really okay? You look different. Different how? Less haunted. Less like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Maya's eyes found Minjun's across the room. I'm getting there. Minjun excused himself, giving them privacy. But as he walked away, he heard Hannah whisper in Korean, "He's gorgeous and terrifying. What exactly is happening here?" Maya's response was too quiet to hear, but Hannah's incredulous, "Seriously?" carried clearly down the hall. He almost smiled. That night, after Hannah had left with promises to visit again soon and assurances that she was being careful, Maya found Minjun in his office. He was reviewing documents, reading glasses perched on his nose, looking almost human in the soft lamplight. "You wear glasses," she said from the doorway. He looked up. "Only for reading. They make you look less intimidating. I'll have to stop wearing them then." She laughed, and the sound did something dangerous to his carefully maintained control. She moved into the room, settling into the chair across from his desk. "Hannah likes you," Maya said. "She told me you're either a very good man or a very dangerous one, and she can't figure out which. What do you think?" "I think you're both." Minjun removed his glasses, folding them with precise care. "You should be afraid of me, Maya. Most people are. That first night I was terrified." She leaned forward, her elbows on his desk. "But then you stayed with me when I had nightmares. You protect Hannah without being asked. You bought me art supplies because you noticed I hadn't drawn in years. You make sure I eat even though I know you're busy. So no, I'm not afraid of you anymore." "You should be," he repeated, but his voice had lost its edge. "What? What are you going to do, Minjun? Keep me safe? Make me feel like I matter? How terrifying." "Maya. I'm not naive. I know what you are. What you do." She stood, moving around the desk. "Jiwoo told me enough. The Kong name means something in this city. Something powerful and untouchable." Minjun stood as well, suddenly needing distance. "Then you understand why this," he gestured between them, "can't happen?" "What can't happen?" Don't what? Don't acknowledge that there's something here? That you look at me like I'm something precious? That I feel safer with you than I've ever felt with anyone? You're grateful. You're confused. It's not the same as." "Don't tell me what I feel," Maya said, her voice sharp. "I spent 2 years with Ethan being told what I felt, what I thought, what I wanted. I won't accept that from you too." They stood facing each other, the air between them crackling with unspoken tension. Minjun's hands clenched at his sides, fighting every instinct. "I'm not good for you," he said finally. "I'm not good for anyone. Let me decide that." "Maya." She stepped closer, close enough that he could smell her shampoo, some floral scent that had infiltrated his space completely. "If you don't want me, say that. Be honest. But don't lie and say it's for my own good." "Of course I want you," he said, the admission torn from somewhere deep. "That's the problem. I want you so badly it's compromising my judgment. I can't protect you effectively if I'm distracted. If I'm thinking about—" He cut himself off. "Thinking about what?" "Things I have no right to think about." Maya's expression softened. She reached up, her fingers gentle against his jaw. "Maybe I'm thinking about them too." For one breathless moment, Minjun let himself imagine it. Pulling her close. Kissing her until she forgot every bad thing that had ever happened to her. Making her his in every way that mattered. But then his phone rang, shattering the moment. He stepped back, answering in clipped Korean. His face went carefully blank as he listened. Maya watched him, worry creeping into her eyes. "Increase security. No one gets within a block of this building." He switched to English for her benefit. "Understood." He hung up and looked at Maya. "Ethan's been asking questions. The wrong kind of questions to the wrong kind of people." "What does that mean?" "It means he's desperate. And desperate men are dangerous." Minjun's expression hardened. "It also means we need to be more careful. No more standing by windows even up here. No trips outside, not even with security." "For how long?" "Until I've dealt with Ethan Chin." Something in his tone made Maya shiver. "What are you going to do?" "What I should have done from the beginning. I'm going to make sure he never threatens you again." Minjun's people located Ethan at an office building in Gangnam 3 days later. The building was registered to his consulting firm, but the business conducted there had nothing to do with legitimate imports. Minjun arrived with 2 associates, Jae-sung and Tae-min, men who'd been with him since the beginning. They found Ethan in a corner office that reeked of expensive cologne and unearned confidence. "Ethan Chin," Minjun said in perfect English, his tone conversational. "We need to discuss Maya Park." Ethan looked up from his laptop, his handsome face twisting into calculated concern. "Who are you?" "Someone who doesn't appreciate men who hurt women." "I never hurt Maya. She's confused, unstable. She needs help and I'm trying to provide it." He stood, straightening his tie. "I've filed a police report to ensure she gets the treatment she needs." Minjun moved closer, his presence filling the office despite his controlled demeanor. "She needed help, that's true. Help getting away from you." Ethan's expression shifted, a flash of anger before he controlled it. "Look, I don't know who you think you are, but Maya is my girlfriend. This is between her and me." "Was your girlfriend?" Past tense. "And now she's under my protection, which creates a problem for you." "Is that a threat?" "It's information." Minjun's voice remained calm, almost gentle. "You filed a false police report. You've been harassing her friend. You've been making inquiries to people who now work for me." Ethan's confidence faltered slightly. "I just want to talk to her. To make sure she's okay." "She's better than okay. She's safe, healing, remembering who she was before you systematically destroyed her sense of self." Minjun settled into the chair across from Ethan's desk, the picture of relaxed menace. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to withdraw your police report. You're going to stop asking questions. You're going to forget Maya Park exists. And if I don't? Then I'll ensure you disappear in a way that makes it impossible for you to hurt anyone ever again." Minjun pulled out his phone, showing Ethan a series of photographs and documents. "I know about your side business. The money you're laundering through your firm. The connections to organized crime you think are so clever. The previous girlfriend who moved to another country to escape you." Ethan's face went pale. "You can't prove any of that." "I don't need to prove it in court. One phone call, and every law enforcement agency interested in financial crimes will have everything they need." Or, Minjun pocketed his phone, "I can handle this quietly." "Your choice." "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Minjun stood, adjusting his cufflinks with deliberate care. "Test me if you'd like. But understand that I don't make threats. I make promises. And I've promised Maya that you'll never hurt her again." The 2 men stared at each other across the desk. Finally, Ethan looked away. "What do you want?" "I already told you. Disappear from Maya's life. Completely. Withdraw the police report by end of business today. No contact, no inquiries, nothing. Move on. Find someone else to control, though I'd advise against it. And if I see her somewhere? In the city? You turn around and walk away. You treat her like a stranger. Because that's what she is to you now. Nothing." Ethan's hands clenched into fists. "Fine. She wasn't worth the trouble anyway." Minjun smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "That's where you're wrong. She's worth everything. You were just too small to see it." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "One more thing. If I hear you've contacted her, threatened her, or even thought about her friend, I won't be this courteous. I trust we understand each other." Ethan nodded, his face flushed with humiliation and impotent rage. As Minjun left the building, Jae-sung murmured in Korean, "Think he'll listen?" "He'll listen. Men like Ethan are cowards at heart. He'll find someone else weaker to torture." Minjun's jaw tightened. "But we keep watching him. Just in case." When Minjun returned to the penthouse, he found Maya in the kitchen, attempting to cook dinner. The sight stopped him in his tracks. She looked up, her face flushed from the heat of the stove, a smear of flour on her cheek. "I wanted to do something nice for you. To say thank you for everything. But I'm not very good at this." She gestured helplessly at the chaos around her. "I was trying to make japchae, but I think I've ruined it." Minjun set down his keys, shrugging out of his coat. "What's wrong with it?" "The noodles are too sticky. The vegetables aren't the right texture. It's a disaster. He moved to the stove, examining her work. The heat was too high. The noodles need to be rinsed in cold water first. He reached for the colander, his arm brushing hers. You could just take over, she said softly. No. You started it. I'll just guide you. They worked side by side, Minjun showing her the proper techniques, their movements gradually synchronizing. It was domestic, intimate, dangerous. Ethan won't bother you anymore, Minjun said as he adjusted the temperature. Maya froze. What did you do? I had a conversation with him. Made him understand that continuing to pursue you would be inadvisable. Did you hurt him? No. Though I wanted to. He met her eyes. But I gave you my word I'd keep you safe. That means handling Ethan in a way that doesn't create more problems for you. Tears welled in her eyes. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me. But I want to. You've given me my life back, Minjun. You've made me feel human again. She reached up, her hand gentle on his face, just as it had been in his office. You've made me feel like I matter. This time he didn't step back. He couldn't. You do matter, he said, his voice rough. You matter more than you should. What does that mean? It means I've broken all my rules for you. It means I think about you constantly. It means, he stopped, the words too revealing, too real. Means what? She whispered. Instead of answering, Minjun did what he'd been wanting to do for days. He cupped her face in his hands and kissed her. Maya gasped against his mouth, then melted into him, her arms winding around his neck. The kiss was everything he'd imagined and more, gentle and fierce, tender and consuming. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Maya smiled. Your japchae is burning. Minjun laughed, actually laughed, and pulled the pan off the heat. Worth it. She rested her forehead against his shoulder. What happens now? Now we eat slightly burned japchae. And then. He lifted her chin, his thumb brushing across her lower lip. Then we figure out what comes next. Together. Together, she repeated, the word full of promise. The weeks that followed were a revelation. Maya began to truly live again, not just survive. She painted vibrant canvases filling the penthouse with color and life. Abstract pieces mixing traditional Korean ink techniques with Western styles. She laughed freely, the sound becoming as familiar as his own heartbeat. She challenged him, questioned him, refused to let him hide behind walls of silence and control. And Minjun, for the first time in his adult life, let someone in. He took her to dinner at restaurants he owned, where the staff knew better than to ask questions. He showed her parts of Seoul she'd never seen, always with security discreetly following. He taught her basic self-defense, patient and gentle even when she grew frustrated with herself. He said one evening in his private gym, watching as she practiced the moves he'd shown her. Again. Maya lunged, her movement connecting with the training pad. How was that? Better. But you're still telegraphing. Your eyes give away your intention. He moved behind her, his hands adjusting her stance. Don't think. Just react. She turned in his arms, her breath coming fast from exertion. Like this? She kissed him, sudden and fierce. Minjun groaned, pulling her closer. You're supposed to be learning self-defense. I'm learning all sorts of things, she murmured against his lips. Later, they lay tangled together in his bed, the Seoul skyline glittering through the windows. Jiwoo's coming tomorrow, Maya said, tracing lazy patterns on his chest. She wants to take me to Insadong. Tell her my credit card has limits for a reason. Liar. You'd give her anything. Only because she already has me wrapped around her finger, Minjun admitted, but there was deep affection in his voice. Maya propped herself up on one elbow, looking down at him. Can I ask you something? You're going to anyway. What happens when this is over? When Ethan's really gone, when the threat is past? Do I leave? Do we go back to being strangers? Minjun pulled her down, kissing her slowly, thoroughly. When he pulled back, his eyes were serious. You're not leaving. Not unless you want to. I don't want to. Then stay. Move your things into my room. Let Hannah visit whenever she wants. Paint in every room if it makes you happy. Just stay. Are you sure? I'm not exactly what someone in your position should. I don't care about should, he interrupted. I care about you. About this. About waking up and having you be the first thing I see. Tears slipped down her cheeks. You're not at all what I expected. What did you expect? A monster. Everyone talks about people like you, powerful, connected, dangerous. Like they're untouchable. Cruel. I am dangerous, Minjun said seriously. I've done things that would horrify you. Made choices that haunt me. I'm not good, Maya. I won't ever be good in the traditional sense. Maybe I don't need good. Maybe I just need you. He kissed her again, pouring everything he couldn't say into the gesture. When they finally fell asleep, wrapped around each other, Minjun realized something profound. He'd spent his entire life building walls, creating distance, ensuring no one could hurt him or his sister. But Maya had slipped past every defense without even trying. She'd made herself essential, carved out a space in his life that would be unbearable if she left. And for once, Minjun Kong wasn't afraid of that vulnerability. He was grateful for it. The gallery opening was everything Maya had dreamed of and more. Her paintings lined the walls of the contemporary space in Samcheongdong, each one telling a story of survival, healing, and hope. The crowd was impressive, filled with collectors and critics, all drawn by Jiwoo's relentless promotion and Minjun's quiet influence. Maya stood next to her favorite piece, a large canvas that depicted a woman emerging from shadows into light, with traditional Korean brushwork elements woven through Western techniques. Minjun had unknowingly modeled for the shadows, protective, powerful, present. It was titled Safe in both English and Korean. It's extraordinary, a prominent critic said in Korean, which Maya now understood better thanks to Jiwoo's persistent teaching. Raw and vulnerable but also strong. You have real talent, Miss Park. After he left, Minjun appeared at her side, impossibly handsome in his tailored black suit. Happy? Terrified? Happy? Overwhelmed? She leaned into him. Grateful. You did this yourself. Your talent, your work, your healing. You gave me the space to heal. To remember who I was before Ethan. To become who I am now. She turned to face him fully. I couldn't have done this without you. Across the room, Hannah chatted animatedly with Jiwoo, the two having become close friends over the past months. Ethan was gone, relocated to Singapore after Minjun's people had made it clear he wasn't welcome in Korea. The threat had passed, leaving only peace in its wake. There's something I've been meaning to ask you, Minjun said, his voice uncharacteristically nervous. What? He pulled a small box from his pocket, opening it to reveal a stunning ring. Not a diamond. Maya had never liked traditional diamonds, but a deep blue sapphire in a Korean-inspired setting, surrounded by smaller stones that caught the light like stars. I'm not good at this, he said, mixing Korean and English. I'm not good at words or romance or any of the things you probably deserve. But I know that I love you. I know that you've changed everything. And I know that I want you by my side for the rest of my life. So, Maya Park, will you marry me? Maya's vision blurred with tears. Around them, the gallery seemed to fade away until it was just the two of them, just this moment. Yes, she whispered. Yes, absolutely yes. Minjun slid the ring onto her finger, then kissed her as the crowd erupted in applause. Jiwoo and Hannah rushed over, both crying and laughing, speaking in rapid Korean and English. Later, as they stood on the gallery's rooftop terrace, looking out at the Seoul skyline, Seoul Tower glowing like a beacon, the Han River reflecting the city lights, Maya rested her head on Minjun's shoulder. Do you remember that first night? She asked. When you found me in your bathroom? I remember thinking Jiwoo was going to give me a heart attack. And then I saw the bruises on your collarbone. His arm tightened around her. I remember wanting to eliminate anyone who'd hurt you. I was so scared. Of you, of Ethan finding me, of everything. I never imagined that the scariest moment of my life would lead to the happiest. I never imagined letting anyone in, Minjun admitted. But then there you were, wearing my towel and looking at me like I was the dangerous one. You are dangerous. Maybe. But not to you. Never to you. Maya turned in his arms, her engagement ring catching the light. I love you, Minjun Kong. My protector. My partner. My home. I love you too, he said, the words still new but growing easier each time in both languages. My unexpected guest. My heart. My everything. They kissed as the city sparkled below them, Two broken people who'd found wholeness in each other, two souls who'd collided by accident and chosen to stay by design. And in that moment, surrounded by art and love and infinite possibility, they were exactly where they belonged. Together. I know you enjoyed this video. What do you think about Maya and Minjun? Hit the like button and subscribe to get more videos like this. Thank you.